Thank you, Mungshi. Appreciate it. So hi everybody. My name is Erin Capel. I have been a community health worker for over 15 years now. I currently reside in Delaware. All this good old work has started here, but now supporting communities all across the country. I'm really grounded in real world perspective. And currently I'm the technical assistance manager with Envision. And I help organizations and CHWs strengthen their programs through training, different strategies, and also the sustainability piece. I'm really known to connect with people deeply, and I am very silly and I have a lot of heart. So I'm so excited to present with you today with my colleague D, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Well, good afternoon, I think, for most, maybe good morning for some. Like Aaron said, my name is Reardon Thayer. You can just call me D. It's so much easier. I'm a training specialist with Envision. I have been in the community health work field for over 20 years. I have a strong training and educational background focused on community engagement. I have a lot of experience in providing outreach, providing education, and basically facilitating access to healthcare resources. So I am very excited to be with you all today, and looking forward to this great session of learning together. I will
Thank you, Dee. Appreciate it. So with that being said, before we jump into these objectives, I do want to just take a moment to acknowledge the current political climate. We know it's a very tough time right now, and some folks might be wondering, why are we even here today? Why are we having this conversation? But guess what? This is exactly why we need to have it. Now more than ever, it's really important to lift up our leadership within the CHW space. We want to make sure we're affirming our power, we're building our confidence, and remaining that we're reminding each other that we're doing what we have to take, what it takes to navigate the challenging moments like this. So we really can't move forward effectively without first understanding our own values. That is really what grounds us, and that's what guides us in this work. So I just wanted to tell you that. So now I would love to share our objectives for our time together. And then by the time we end today, our goal is to really increase your awareness of a few key leadership styles, introduce some tools to help strengthen collaboration between CHWs and CHWs allies, and highlight the philosophy of that nothing about us without us, so you all can bring that mindset into your own work, especially when addressing CHW workforce issues. We'll get there by sharing some key information, inviting you into some meaningful discussions, and we'll walk through some couple of interactive activities. Excuse me. I also want to mention to y'all that this session is just one piece of a longer workshop. So yes, we are here for 90 minutes, and I know that sounds long, but it will go by quick. But this is just enough to lay the foundation and really start building on those skills that many of all of you probably on this call today bring to the table. We can go to the next slide, please. So I'm so excited to present to say that this presentation was really made possible in part by support from the Johnson & Johnson Foundation through the Catalyzing the Power of Community Health Workers to Close Gaps and Advance Health Equity Project. Ooh, that's a long title, but it's a really, really great support from that organization. The focus of the work is really strengthening the CHW workforce and promoting culturally responsive care across the Southeast. So I do want to call out that we're so excited. I do see in the participant list, there's many folks today representing the amazing Southeast Community Health Worker Network. Y'all know, even in the meetings, I stumble on that. But I just wanted to say, hey, everyone, rep, if you are here, put in the chat. That is a great, great organization to tap into, a network to tap into. They are a part of the Southeast region, and they meet monthly, and it's awesome. So all those that are here, you can just definitely chime into the chat and let us know you're in the room. We're so grateful to have you here. Thank you, Mungshi. Next slide. So, with that being said, the Southeast Community Health Network Association is actually housed underneath CHWA. Those of you who have been here before, you all know who CHWA is, but those of you who are new, I will let you know in the room. It is called the Center for Community Health Alignment, and we are one of the core organizations on the Envision team. So what makes CHWA stand out, though, is that we are CHW led and we're really rooted in deep real world experience. CHWA is also based out of Columbia, South Carolina, under the University of South Carolina's Arnold School of Public Health. Shout out to the Gamecocks, woo-hoo-hoo, to all of you out there. CHWA is all about supporting the CHW workforce through training, technical assistance, capacity building, and advocacy. We're all about by CHWs for CHWs. Our mission is to use evidence-based models and meaningful community engagement to co-create solutions that tackle health inequities starting in South Carolina, and now we're expanded across the region and beyond. So let's get started. Actually, you know what? Wait. Let me, before we get started, I have to give you guys this disclaimer, because if you've ever been to an Envision or a CHWA training, you have to know this. We love to interact, we love to use breakout rooms, and we love to have dialogue. So I'm just letting y'all know now, we really understand that if you are not able to come off camera or engage by unmuting or utilizing when we do breakout rooms, we understand that, but we love to hear from you and we would love to hear your experiences and expertise. So I just wanted to give you that. So if you're not able to engage, just FYI, I love to let everybody know that. So we are going to start our activities today by getting to know some of your peers. So Dee, can you let them know of our next activity?
Thanks, Aaron, and I sure can. So now we are going to move into a small group discussion to explore leadership in action. So in just a moment, we're going to open breakout rooms. You'll be in breakout groups of about 4 to 5 people. And there are 3 questions that we would like you to consider and discuss in your breakout groups. So those questions are: who do you consider a leader? What are some skills that a leader has, and how do those skills contribute to their leadership ability? So I think those questions will also be entered into the chat. You'll have about 5 minutes in your breakout room, and then when you return, we will take a few minutes to share some of your reflections from your discussion. So like I say, take a few minutes, get to know some of your colleagues that are on the call together in the small group breakout space, and we'll be there for about 5 minutes. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. And as folks are still trickling in, so we'd love to hear some thoughts from the groups. So feel free to come off mute, or actually, if you could use maybe the reaction or raise your hand feature if you'd like to speak, or you could also drop some takeaways in the chat. So let's just hear from a few people about what stood out in your discussion. I know it wasn't a lot of time, but hopefully it was a good time. So I'll call on, I see Kalisha was the first person I saw with a hand up. Do you mind talking to us, Kalisha?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kalisha Spence from the Trenton Health Team in Trenton, New Jersey. I'm actually the senior community health worker for the care management team. Thank you so much for this wonderful training. So one of the main things that stood out with the ladies that were in my group is communication is key in all 3 questions, actually. We all agree that you have to have a small mouth and big ears, as they say, to be considered a leader, to have some skills and contribution. That was one of the main things that stuck out.
All right, thank you very much for that. That small mouth and big ears in some of our teacher trainings, we use the Furby. I don't know if some of our seasoned folks know what the Furby is as an example of that. So thank you for sharing. I see a hand from, is it Yvonne Sims? Do you mind
Yes,
talking to
it's
us?
Yvonne. Hi, everyone. My name is Yvonne Sims. I'm the Partnerships Coordinator for the Health Coalition of Passaic County out in Paterson, New Jersey. I'm definitely a CHW ally, as I worked as a CHW previously before doing the coordinator position. In our group, basically what we talked about, how important it is, just from our own experiences, having a leader that's forward thinking, especially in the climate that we're in, being able to keep that finger on that pulse so that you can adapt to all of the changes and all of the things that are going on. I know that a lot of organizations have found themselves kind of scrambling because they didn't keep their finger on the pulse, so to speak. So it's really, really important as a leader to make sure that you know how to move your organization forward, even in the hardest of times, right? Very, very important to do that. Another thing was one of the girls mentioned, Joyce, mentioned how her leader is hands-on, but not hands-on where they're trying to kind of, micromanage you, hands-on to check in on you. Make sure that you're doing okay in your mental well-being because of the work as a CHW is so strenuous and so taxing, right? It can be draining at times. It's so important to make sure that your leaders are, kind of show that they care and they're checking in on you because they know that without those CHWs, the work doesn't get done. What was the slogan? It was nothing about us without us, right? So you got to check in on us, on you guys. So that's what we talked about.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Yvonne, for sharing with us. I see we got some discussion in the chat going on as well, too. So thank you for the folks that are contributing there as well. I see we're getting some of those good leadership qualities listed in there as well. So thank you all for those in those discussions. So we see it's powerful, to hear the different ways that we can recognize leadership and how much it's about action and not just titles. So as we continue, we want to shift into thinking about what it means to be a leader, specifically how we lead through example. So whether it's in our communities, our teams, or our families, the way we show up can speak louder than any role that we hold. And I see too, Caitlin did put in the chat, please continue to drop takeaways in there as well. So thank you all for your participation and engagement. Monks, if you move us to the next slide, please. So now we just want to take a moment to reflect on what it really means to be a leader. So not just in words, but in how we show up. So we're grounded here by the wisdom of three powerful voices that are here on the screen. So we have Dr. Brene Brown. She reminds us that who we are is how we lead. Maya Angelou, I think many of us know who Maya Angelou is. She once said, a leader sees greatness in other people. He or she can't be much of a leader if all they see is themselves. And I think that quote is more applicable and appropriate today than it has been in a long time. Barack Obama challenges us to ask, how am I helping other people do great things? So we see that leadership isn't just about having a title. It's about influence, it's about intention, and it's about impact. It's found in those quiet decisions. So some of those everyday moments and how we treat others when no one is looking. So let's take a moment and consider, just to ourselves, how do we lead by example? And what actions say about the kind of leader that I want to be? Moshe, if you move us to the next slide, please. Next slide, thank you. So we've spent some time thinking about how leadership shows up in our everyday actions and how the way we carry ourselves can make just as much of an impact as any title ever could. So let's build on that by talking about how leadership feels and functions in different spaces. Because the truth is, we all lead differently. Some of us are motivators, some of us are quiet, steady hands, others lead by serving first or by bringing people together. So there are different styles of leadership, and each one brings something valuable. What matters most is knowing which ones resonate within us and how we can lead with intention. So let's take a minute and talk about how leadership can show up in practice. There are a few core styles we see again and again, different ways people guide, support, and influence those around them. So some folks lead with direction and decisiveness, and that's what we call an authoritarian style. Other folks lead in a participative way, and that's creating space for shared decision making and lifting up the voices around them. You also have transformational leaders, And these are ones who motivate and inspire. They bring vision and energy to the table. And then lastly, we have our servant leaders. So those are people who lead by putting others first. They focus on support, care, and creating conditions for others to grow and thrive. So this is where we see folks like we had on our last slide, like Dr. Brene Brown, Maya Angelou, and Barack Obama. Each of them leads or led from a place of empathy, courage, and service. They didn't lead for power. They led with their heart. And that's the foundation of servant leadership. Like we said, serve first, lead second. But each of these styles comes from a different motivation. So some are driven by structure and control, some thrive on collaboration, some are fueled by vision and transformation, and servant leaders, they're grounded in the belief that leadership is about lifting others up. So none of these styles are necessarily better than the others, but in fact, depending on the moment, the space, or the need, any of them can be effective. So what matters is understanding how you naturally lead and knowing when to adapt. So if you can move us on to the next slide. So before we move on, just want to take another quick moment of self-reflection. We just talked briefly about 4 leadership styles. So now we'd like to hear a little bit about from you all. What can any of these styles be effective? Have you seen one of these work well in your experience? And this is one of those moments too, if anybody wants to raise their hand or also use our chat feature. The questions are also in the chat as well on the screen too. And as we are coming off mute, just remember no names or specifics. We're just thinking about the styles and how they show up. So we don't want you to start talking bad about your boss because they might be on the call as well. So no names, just some of those effective leadership styles.
Hey, Durian, can you put the previous slide back with the list of yes, thank you.
Literally, thank you. So there we go with some of our leadership styles and the motivation of those styles. I think we have that hand up from, is that Solange?
Yes, this is Solange. I'm a community health worker for Northern Light Mercy Hospital in Portland, Maine.
Wow.
I'm also a certified clinical medical assistant. And yes, I think many people lead according to the 4 part that you said. And but I've noticed that if you are authoritarian, you will not get the work done. Maybe you will get the work done, but people will not be satisfied. So for me, I'm more as a transformative and a servant. Participative, yes, I like to be in the meetings and so on, and maybe be there when my patient need help, because I work with pregnant mothers, and it's not easy. It's sometimes it's very demanding, and I think that being authoritarian with them sometimes doesn't work. I know that my nature, I'm authoritarian by nature, but at work, I try not to put that in effectiveness. So I think I'm transformative and servant. So
Thank you very much for sharing. Solange, how about see Stacy Roberts? You want to talk to us for a minute?
Sure. So I'm Stacy Roberts. I'm the community health worker for the Deer Isle Stonington, Maine fishermen. This is a new position, and so I'm the only one here. And my supervisor is in New York, but so I think that her style is the precipitative, but I really enjoyed that piece of it because, she's been I'm an LPN. I've worked as a nurse for 30 some odd years. So this is a new goal, a new position for me to learn. And she has been really good about being there and, giving me guidance on a regular basis. And um, if I need her, she participates, but she really is allowing me to fill out things and learn them on my own also. So I've really enjoyed that type of leadership.
Thank you, Stace. Thank you for sharing. How about is it Ann Sanderson? You want to hear from Ann?
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Ann Sanderson. I work with Family Connection of South Carolina. I was just going to make a point about, in my opinion, about an authoritarian leader. There are times and places where that's exactly what you need. I think when you're in crisis, when you're dealing with someone, when you're dealing with natural disasters, when you're dealing with people that have, the military is an excellent example. But when you are trying to run, especially the kind of work that community health workers do, that, in my opinion, tends to not be the best way to motivate people, to encourage people. And community health workers by nature are very passionate people. And we do what we do because we have such great passion for the work and for people, sharing and caring for people. So I feel like that type of leadership often it's like oil and vinegar, it doesn't mix well in a community health worker environment. I wanted to share that part. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for sharing. I think we'll hear from one more person, Courtney Kalista. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Did you have it?
Close enough. It's Callista. I get that all the time.
Sorry. You see my name. I go through it too.
Yeah. So I've actually worked with a group of individuals that have more of a transformative style leadership skill. This actually started before I became a CHW, and that actually is what encouraged me to become a CHW. It started with a completely different career trajectory, and they had gone through CHW certification, and they had said, we think that you'd be great going through this as well, which kind of gave me motivation and inspired me to learn how to do more things and broaden my advocacy skills. And that has now transformed into me going for additional roles and certifications now as a community labor doula. So everything kind of blends in together, but that wouldn't have happened had I not been within a group of individuals that actually, motivated and told me, hey, you can do it. This is a great thing. We think you'd be a great, person to take up that mantle. And that's now something that I've integrated into my own life. And when I work with people, I have turned myself into a transformative leader where I have now learned to motivate and inspire others to be the best versions of themselves in whatever capacity, they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing too. So, we see in real time a lot of those different characteristics, a lot of those different traits from each style that we put into play in our own work and in our own lives as well too. I am a father of 4 daughters, so I think I try to use the authoritarian style at home, whether that works out or not. Probably not so much, but we can see how, like I said, many of these different styles are effective in our lives and in our work. So thank you everyone who has shared. It is always powerful to hear how leadership shows up in real spaces. So now I'm going to pass it back to Aaron, who's going to walk us through some of the common qualities that great leaders tend to have regardless of their style.
Thanks, Dee. So you guys, we talked about how leadership can look really different depending on the style. But now what we want to focus on is what it tends to feel like when it's really done well. So most strong leaders, no matter their approach, they do share a few key qualities, and they're adaptable, they're committed, they're curious, they lead with empathy, they think creatively, and what do? They try to build trust over time. That is good one. But not every leader checks every box, and we know that that's okay. Again, there's supervised trainings out there. We'll talk about them later. But these are things we can actually grow into. So what matters is showing up with self-awareness and a willingness to lead with intention. So what I want you to do is think about someone you consider a strong leader. Chances are you'll recognize at least one of these qualities on this page that in how they show up. So just think about it for a second. I know it's probably somebody coming in. They probably possess one of these qualities. So take a 2-second break and think about that. All right, let's go to the next slide. So we just looked at those qualities that tend to show up in strong leaders, but now we want to look to lift up the unique strengths that CHWs and those who support CHWs, hey allies in the room, they bring into this work every single day. So I know many of you who are familiar with our work in the core competencies of CHWs, you've all seen this word cloud a lot, but it was created by a group of CHWs who were actually asked to describe our qualities, how we show up, how we value, and the strengths that we lead with. So whether you are a CHW or someone who is a CHW ally, you'll probably see yourself reflected in this, that empathy, that cultural humility, that active listening that we do, that persistence, relationship building, y'all. I know that y'all probably tired of those two words together, but these aren't just nice to have traits. They're really our power skills. And the truth is, leadership doesn't always mean being in the front, right? Right? So some of us, we played in behind the scenes, which I love playing behind the scenes, even though some of y'all beg to differ. But most impactful ones, leaders are actually lifting others up. So however you lead, you want to make sure that you're guiding, supporting, and making space. Everybody needs to know your leadership does matter. And those qualities that I just mentioned, they're actually the foundation of being a great leader. So I know we're talking a lot and we've been trying to give you guys some interaction, but I need some interaction from you all. Give me a thumbs up on your screen, a chat love, something like that, a crazy face, turn on your camera. We're getting through this. I just want to make sure y'all are with me, just to make sure that we can continue our webinar for today. I see some chat love. I see some reactions. I love those hearts coming up. Thank you, Courtney. All right, awesome. We can go to the next slide. So with that being said, you guys probably heard of the terms holistic and holistic. A lot of people use those words interchangeably, but guess what? There is a difference. So holistic is what you'll see usually in academic terms or clinical spaces, in that field. But holistic, the one with the W, it actually comes from the word whole, as you guys can see. And that's really what we're talking about today. In that chat earlier, you guys all talked about how a great leader encompasses all of those different leadership styles. And that is exactly what this holistic leadership piece is about. We're talking about showing up for people with the whole person mindset. We're not just focusing on their job title or the productivity, but really understanding who they are, their story, their struggles, and what they're carrying, and how that impacts how they show up. So that's really important. We got to really think about it. When CHWs are working, many of them live through things in their life that affect them mentally, physically, emotionally, even spiritually. So if we're leading them, we have to lead with care, because when people feel seen and valued, not just like another number, they definitely work differently. They show up differently, and guess what? Your whole organization benefits from that. So holistic leadership is really just leading with empathy. It's saying, I see you and I'm here to support all of you. And when we lead that way, the impact spreads far beyond the workplace. You can go to the next slide. So I know earlier a lot of you guys were talking about communication, and we're about to dive in on to that, because that is a big key about being a great leader in this space for community health workers and allies together. But before we dive in there, I just want us to ground us in this reminder that leadership isn't just about individual voices. It's about what we create together. Building collective voice means leading in community with intention and making space for all of us to be heard. Just wanted to uplift that right there. Next slide, please. So one of those key ways that we build a collective voice and lead with impact is through communication. But I know y'all all know this, but this is a refresher. And if you don't, this is something new you hear. It's not just about what we say. It's how we say it. It's when we say it. It's even if we choose to speak at all. Verbal communication is powerful and it allows us to share knowledge, uplift our stories, and advocate for change. But nonverbal communication is just as real. The tone we use, our body language, facial expressions, and even silence, what? They all send a message. I know you guys know that. So, as leaders, we need to be mindful of how we communicate to help us build trust, deepen our relationships, and move with clarity and intention. So, as we continue, let's think about how your communication shows up, both in words and in presence. So, go to the next slide. So, we talked about how powerful communication is in leadership. And this next activity is going to help us experience that in real time. Because even when we're thinking about being clear, people process and interpret information differently. And as leaders, CHWs, and allies, we've got to remember that how we say something is just as important as what we say. Now, that's something I truly need to remember because, So what we're going to do is shift into a little communication activity that lets us practice what we've been talking about, especially how we give and receive information. So if you don't mind, Mungshi, if you could stop sharing the screen really quickly, I want everyone to take a moment, grab something to write with, a pen, a pencil, a marker, if you have a crayon, something, anything next to you, and something to write on. It could be your paper, it could be a receipt, it could be something, but just make sure you have something to write on. We want you to go ahead and do that, and I'll give you a moment to get yourself together. So we're going to do a little activity. So in a moment, I'll be giving you a step-by-step instructions to draw something. You don't know what it's going to be yet. So you guys have to listen carefully and draw based on what you hear from me. So I'll give you guys a minute. Give me some thumbs up, some reactions, and make sure you guys are ready. I know it's not something so spectacular, but I just want to make sure you guys are all prepared and ready. All right, I see thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right, you guys ready? All right, let's begin. First, draw a long oval in the middle of the page. Make 2 lines with circles at one end above the oval. Draw 2 humps on one side of the oval. Draw 2 humps on the other side of the oval. Draw 2 lines below the oval and draw a horizontal oval at the bottom of each of those lines. All right, so do y'all want me to show you what I wanted y'all to draw? Y'all want to show y'all drawings first? Which would you prefer? You want to see yours or you want to see mine first? You want to see mine first, John?
No, let them show theirs first. Let them show.
Okay. Let's so those of you who are so brave enough to come off camera, show your camera. We don't care what's in behind you. I get it. But show your drawing. Hopefully, I know some of you have background, so it'll be blurry. But show your drawing to see what everybody has. I know those backgrounds are tearing it up, so I know. I'm so sorry. I see Caitlin's. I can see Stacy's. Okay, Solange, I can see yours. Anybody else? No, I can't. Let's see. Go through the list. Anybody else? Oh, okay, I see the Tahab, Dominique. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Who else? Oh, Joyce, I can see yours kind of. I see a screen. All right, cool. All right. Mungshi, do me a favor. Share the screen and show everybody what I wanted. Oh, there you go, Joshua. Is it Joshua? I think I like your name. Looks really cool. All right, let's see what it is. Popping on up. It was a butterfly, but mine had shoes on it. So that was a little O's on the bottom. So I just wanted to show you guys that. Everybody, okay, so you did have a butterfly, but it didn't look like mine. Nah, mine has shoes. I don't know if anybody has shoes on theirs. But with that being said, oh, you got a crab. Okay, I wonder what your crab looks like, Devin. Simpler, an animal. At least it's an animal. But with that being said, I heard somebody, what did you say?
I got you an airplane.
Oh, an airplane. Look at all this. Well, I failed. Yeah.
No, I think I had a
It's still an
penguin.
animal.
I had a blimp.
Oh, a blimp. Okay. Your butterfly looks squashed. I love it. All right. Awesome. You guys didn't fail. The whole purpose of this activity was to really show you. A lot of you guys were like, "Oh my God, what in the world? I cannot listen. I don't have good communication skills," but that's not quite it. It's the whole point is that we interpret different things different way on how we think, how we process, how we visualize. A lot of you guys had different things. We went from animals to blimps to what, a crab. I mean, we went to all different things. Oh, thank you, Destiny, for uploading it. So what did you guys do? I just want to hear you guys off. What surprised you? What was frustrating? What did it make you think about it when we talk about communication? Give me some of your thoughts about that activity. And you guys can use your reaction to raise your hand or put in the chat. Just curious, what did you guys think? I heard you guys say, okay, go ahead. Is it Joshua or is it Jashar? Tell me, yeah.
Joshua.
Oh, it is Joshua. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Joshua. No, that's the
Got you.
thing that was kind of like throwing me for a loop a little bit was it wasn't the direction wasn't like clear and concise. So when you were saying draw a hump, like, what you mean draw a hump,
Uh-huh.
So that was really the biggest thing. It just wasn't like clear. It wasn't like a direct,
Exactly. I wasn't clear. And guess what? I forgot to add this part, which is okay, I didn't. But you guys couldn't ask me any questions for clarity, right? You couldn't have that dialogue. You just had to listen to what I said and follow what you interpreted. Awesome. Stacy, go ahead.
I definitely feel like I
Bridget.
failed. But it does go back to the point that, everybody interprets information. So I think, one of them is trying to be clear, but the other piece, I think it may be that we need to make sure, like have people reiterate things to us that we really feel important enough, that they need to have gotten that information just to make sure that they did understand what you said.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Stacy, for that. I'm looking at you guys are cracking me up in the chat. It's so funny, but yes, I thought that was fun. But thank you. Anybody else want to chime in? I give one more person to elevate, and then we can move on. I didn't want to skip over, but this is really important to understand that communication is so important. You guys said that earlier, so I was like, should we be teaching y'all this, or you should be on here instead of us? But no, communication is really key, and understanding that clarification of what somebody is asking you or what you're communicating. Always make sure you rephrase that, get clarification, and say, hey, is this what you meant? We always talk about that too. So yes, start to ask more questions. Okay, yep. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you all for your feedback. I appreciate you entertaining me today with my fun activity. All right, let's go to the next slide. So my favorite thing, I know we keep bringing it up, if you are a CHW for a long time, and even if you're new to the scene, you will hear this phrase, nothing about us without us. When I first became a CHW and I became immersed in this world, I could not say this phrase for the life of me, but now I can say this in my sleep. But this is really one of the biggest phrases that we really live at by the core. It has really been used a long time for us, but it really guides us how we think about our leadership, our advocacy, and our equity. And yes, I said equity. I know that's a buzzword right now, but I say equity loud and proud in our space. So I'm not afraid of it. So it's really a call to remember that decisions are made about commitments, and they should never be made without them. That includes our CHWs, our clients, our neighbors, and the folks we serve alongside every day. So this isn't just about being included. It's about being centered. It's about shifting that power. And it's a reminder that when we talk about leadership, we're not only talking about who's at the table, but how and why they got there. Next slide, please. We've already really named how important this phrase is and when it comes to our CHW workforce development. But what I want to lift up here is that we're not just asking for a seat at the table, we're claiming the right to shape the table itself. Did y'all hear me? We are claiming the right to shape the table for itself because CHWs, we know the gaps, we know the barriers and the solutions because why? We have lived them. So when it comes to building our workforce that actually works, our CHWs and for our communities, it is very, very important that our leadership isn't optional. It's essential. We cannot build sustainable systems if we're not led by the very people doing the work. Did y'all hear me? I don't see any response. I thought I was going to get a thank you, Lord G. Let's go. Amen in here. We have church, but maybe I'm just preaching to myself. No, I'm just kidding. So next slide, please. So one example, really, really large example, and very, very, we should be honored for this because one example about how leadership is really being recognized at the policy level, which is amazing. The American Public Health Association, or a lot of people recognize it as APHA, they stated that when it comes to CHW workforce development, at least 51, y'all heard me right, 51% of leadership position on boards and advisory groups, should be held by self-identified CHWs. That is powerful and that matters because it moves us beyond tokenism and into real decision-making power. So we're seeing it in action. Some of the CHWs we worked with are now sitting on Medicaid task force and health equity councils. That is amazing. They're shaping that policy, they're informing funding decisions, and they're helping design systems that actually reflect the communities that they serve. I just wanted y'all to sit into that. So that is what it looks like when lived experience is valued as expertise and when CHWs aren't just part of the conversation, we're actually help leading it. Let's go to the next slide. So earlier I did share that I'm with Team Envision. Go Envision! I love them. So and part of our commitment to this work is really making sure that CHWs are not just recognized, but they're resourced and supported in leading. And one of the ways we've done that is by developing the CHW Financial Sustainability Toolkit. Those of you who are not new to this space, I know you've heard about it. We've been putting it in your face in a good way because this is such a great tool. But of course, it's in the resource at the end, you guys will see. But this toolkit uplifts Envision's ongoing dedication to CHW leadership and sustainability. And so what you're seeing right now is the framework that we support our partnerships between CHWs and allies. So we want to work towards workforce sustainability. So if you guys notice on that framework, our foundation of the model is what? CHW leadership. Because just like we said earlier, what's the saying? Come off mute. What is the CHW motto, phrase? Y'all know it.
Nothing about us without us.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. I can hear it all day. So that includes decisions about how to sustain our workforce and why we have to really, really understand how important that is. We can't get to sustainability for the CHW workforce without the leadership of the CHW workforce. Did y'all hear me? This is a call to action for all our allies and supporters, I know y'all on this call, to intentionally engage CHWs in these conversations. And for these CHWs in their room, shout out to y'all, I'm one of them too, we need to also call to lead. We need to actually say these things. We want to lead and put your voice and make it loud for everyone to hear. Remember that APHA policy I shared a couple moments ago? No one should want sustainability for our workforce more than us. This isn't something to leave to others. It's our voices, our leadership, and our experience is very essential to make this happen. So another part, I like to do little fun things. So I want to do a waterfall. I don't know if many of you experience webinars and they have a waterfall in the chat. So I'm going to ask a question, but before I ask the question, I need you guys to listen. Hopefully these instructions are clear. I'm going to ask a question. I want you guys to type in one word, only one word. Do not hit enter until I say so. So I'm going to ask the question. I want you to write the one word answer in your chat box. Do not hit enter until I say yes. Is that clear? Are we clear? Do I need any clarification questions? No? Yes? No? Maybe so? All right, awesome. So the question for you all is, what is one word you associate with CHW sustainability? Take a second, type your word, and I'll let you know when to hit send. All right, I'm gonna count down. Y'all ready? 3, 2. What's the question? Okay, I will see. See, I was about to drop it. Y'all was about to hit send. Oh, there you go, Alexis. Okay. What's one word you associate with CHW sustainability? All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, let's see. Ooh, you see the waterfall? How cool is that? All right, so y'all gotta help me in the chat team, because it's going a little too fast for me. I'm getting old, so I like computers, but ooh, geez. All right, so we got a lot. Reliability, necessary. Ooh, go ahead, Stephanie. Oh, Stephanie, I love you so. Networking needs, reliable communication, integrity, support, indispensable. Ooh, I love that. CHW leadership. Go ahead.
First
You
thing
saw
I saw,
money, didn't you?
yeah, I saw money. That was the
I thought
first
you
thing
said,
I
I knew
saw.
you was gonna say money. I knew you was gonna say money. And I like think Beatrice, you say money. I love me some Beatrice. She's such an amazing person. Emma said money too. All right, cool. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Awesome. So all these words we're going to bring into the next layer of our conversation, because I know money. I know money is the one. Solange, I'll get to you in 1 second. I know that's all we're talking about is money. Where is it at? Where can we find it? Who we're going to apply to? All the good things. We're all fighting for it, right? I know. But that's not just it. It is a part of it, but it's not just it. So Solange, you have something to say? Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to tell Dee because he said money. Maybe you guys over there have a lot of money. Here in Maine, we are still fighting to have CHW be paid correctly because CHW here in Maine are underpaid.
Solange, okay, thank you, Solange, for elevating that, because I don't know about you, but I'm looking around. I don't have a whole pot of money behind me and my organization. Raise your hand in the chat if you still feeling that woe too. We need some money. We're not getting paid good. We need to uplift our CHWs. I'm just being honest in this space. Okay, look at this, Solange. So it's not just you. It's all across the country. We have a lot of people all across the country today. So we are all here together. But look at us together collectively. We can work on this. We can figure it out and we can do it together. So thank you for asking that question. I do appreciate that. But we are all in this together, and it's not just you, Solange. I promise it's not just you. So with that being said, we're going to go on to the next slide because y'all know I can chat all day. But I want to make sure you guys get these key information in regards to what we're here for today, CHW leadership. The social ecological model. So all of those words that y'all share, this is the formal version of it, but all those words y'all share, it's right here. It is right here in the social ecological model. You guys said support, money, trust. I don't think I saw equity in there. I think y'all a little scared of that word, but that's okay. We'll still bring it back. Collaboration. They all exist somewhere within this model. So I want you guys to understand that there's so many layers that really influence the impact of our sustainability of our workforce. So guess what? It does start with the individual CHW at the center, but it doesn't stop there. Sustainability is really shaped by the teams we work on, the organizations we're part of, the policies that govern our funding, and the cultural values that shape how CHWs are seen and supported. So if we want to sustain this workforce, we have to, listen to me very carefully, work across all these layers. That means CHW leadership isn't just needed at the individual or team level. Listen to me carefully. It's needed in systems, structures, and strategy. So it reminds us that the responsibility for sustainability isn't just on CHWs. It's on the environments we're placed in, the institutions we work within, and the partners who claim to support us. Did I hit any notes there? Did y'all feel that in your spirit? Okay, good. All right, let's go to the next slide. We're about to wrap it on up. So as we begin to close, I do want to offer something to carry with you guys beyond today. Again, I just want to preface this. This is a short piece. We had to put in a lot of stuff in this short little bit about time about leadership development, because we talk about a lot of things in our longer, broader offering of leadership development training. I believe it can be up to 2 days, so we can customize it to your organization. But anywho, I just want you guys to know we want to make sure that we give you something to take away. We are currently finalizing this worksheet, but I want you guys to see also what it looks like, how it's practiced, and why it's mattered today. Leadership isn't just about showing up, it's also about building, and that requires intention. So if you guys notice, we do have a worksheet, which you guys will see in a second. You'll have access today, access to it after today's session, but it helps to design, to guide your reflection and your growth. So it offers space to identify those leadership goals, create a learning path that fits your path, create a learning plan that fits your path. I'm talking too much. Grow your capacity, acknowledge your challenges, and engage in ongoing self-reflection. This tool is not meant to be overwhelming. It's actually meant to be yours. So this is a place to check in, name what you need, and track the growth that's already happening. So this is what it can look like. If you go to the next slide to show everybody amongst you what this action plan looks like. That's an example of what we have, and we will provide you a copy of this. And again, you could create your own. This is just a template. Of course, you can take this and you know how we do. We like to recreate and duplicate. But this is for you all. But leadership doesn't begin when someone gives us permission. It begins when we give ourselves the space to grow. Let me say that again. Leadership doesn't begin when someone gives us permission. It begins when we give ourselves the space to grow. I'll pause here, and with that, I'm going to pass it over to Dee to guide us through these next final pieces and close us out. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Mamushi, you move us to the next slide. So as Aaron said, as we begin to wrap up, we want to share a reminder that this work doesn't stop here. There are opportunities, real opportunities for deeper engagement in the CHW movement. And that's whether you're a CHW yourself or a committed ally. We absolutely need to come together to build and strengthen our collective voice, to uplift CHW leadership, to keep the momentum going in our states and nationally, and to push towards true sustainability for this workforce. And I'd argue that this is especially important in these challenging funding times. So not just when things are going well, because the strength of this movement isn't about one organization or one moment. It's about all of us advocating, organizing, and showing up. So whether it's connecting with your state association, mentoring someone new, or speaking up in rooms where CHW voices are missing, just know your role matters. We're stronger when we lead this work together. I'll say that again. We are stronger when we lead this work together. Next slide, please. So one of the most powerful ways that we can build and sustain CHW leadership is by getting involved in the organizations that support and shape this work. So what you're seeing here is a snapshot of the different types of CHW related organizations that exist across the country. So this map is based on data from the CHW section of NASHP, and NASHP is an acronym for the National Academy for State Health Policy. So let's keep in mind that this information is always evolving. So organizations may shift or grow over time, and what's true in one state today might look different 6 months from now. But overall, it shows the range of ways CHWs and allies can engage. And as we talk through some of these that are on the screen, I'm not going to share the colors because I am colorblind, and in the spirit of equity, some of these colors probably look different to me than they look to most. But what we do have here is, you see with number 1, we have associations and coalitions. So these are often statewide groups that bring people together to organize, advocate, and influence policy. Then we have our alliances and collaboratives. So these are spaces where multiple groups team to share leadership and resources around common goals. And then we see initiatives, which are usually more short-term and focused, but on a specific issue or deliverable. And then finally, we have here our local and community-based networks. So these are smaller, sometimes newer spaces that are often reflect grassroots leaderships and local impact. So there's no one right place to plug in, but engaging with any of these groups strengthens our collective voice and moves us closer to workforce sustainability and systems change. Next slide, please. And then, as we said earlier, too, another opportunity before we close, we want to share our resource again is My Envision. It is our online platform for CHWs and allies. It's a space to connect, share experiences, learn from one another, and stay in community. There are CHW only spaces in My Envision, there's ally only spaces, there's shared communities, and even state specific groups. And if you don't see what you need, we can create it with you. So we'd love for you to join an existing space or start one of your own. This is one more way that we can keep the movement going together. And thank you, Caitlin, for putting that in the chat as well, myenvision.org.
Thank you. So we've covered a lot today, and we want to make sure you have what you need to continue exploring, learning, and connecting after this session. So I believe there's a slide there. I love my John, y'all. I'm sorry I had to call him out. Thank you, John. But he's amazing. He's our communication person. I love him to death. But he creates all great things. I'm just plugging him. I'm sorry, got off track. But there is a little guide that we're actually going to add into the chat. It's a PDF with a lot of the resources that we talked about today. So there are the links that are on there. We talked about NASHP. We talked about APHA, of course, the Southeast Network. I want to uplift them as well. And also giving a nod to Envision. We are actually in the CHW Central. We actually have an article that's titled Nothing About Us Without Us. So you guys can check that out. And I did give a nod, or we gave a nod to Dr. Brené Brown, Dare to Lead book, which a lot of people love. It's a great book to read. So just giving you some of those resources. I also want to mention that we do have that fillable form, the plan, I'm sorry, mind went blank, action plan. We will make sure that that gets onto our website as well, so we can send that out to our group. So with that being said, I know we've thrown a lot of your way. We have ideas, we have reflections, we had my butterfly with shoes, we had blimps, we had crabs. So it's been a full session.
Definitely. So we're going to stop sharing the slides and we're just going to open up the space. No screens, no structures, just us and y'all.
Again, we're going to stay after. I know it's 3 o'clock. You all can leave if you like to. But if you have any questions, you want to stay back, please do so. We'll be on here for the next 15 minutes. We can play some music, Mungshi, in the meantime, if there's no other questions. But if you have any questions, we're going to be sitting here. I just don't want you all just staring at my face and have to feel what to say. But we appreciate you in this space. Thank y'all. Hope to see y'all soon. June again, register, share, and hopefully see you on the other side. So thank y'all again. We appreciate you.
Thank y'all.